So I've been playing Hack GU, Last Recode. I'm in the last game, right? Or at least in the third game. And I'm gonna be real with you. I'm completing the Book of Thousands. That's all I'm care about. I have a link down below to the guide. If you want it, you're gonna need it. Trust me, you're gonna need it. So why do I bring all that up? Because I really don't wanna. I don't know how I did it back then when I was younger. I had the patience, the wherewithal, the intrigue. I was just sewn in, locked in into this game back then. So I completed the Book of Thousands, no problem. But now, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. So you know, I figured, what if they remake this game? What if they actually do a complete 100% from the ground bottom up remake to this game? First and foremost, that would be cool. That'd be great. CyberConnect, because of the Naruto games, I know they know how to make cutscenes. I know they know how to make combat styles. And more importantly, I know they know how to make it look good. Gotta say that. That's just true. That's just fact. But how would it look like? What would they do? I spent like the last 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half max, probably, thinking about it, brainstorming it. And I wrote down a giant extensive list of stuff that they could have done, they could do with a remake. And if they ever want to, they could just cite my video for inspiration. I don't really care. Just put a box of my face. Just put a box somewhere. In fact, if you're an indie dev, you see this video, you like what I say, take it. I don't care. Just put my box somewhere in the game. I don't care. Anyways, this is definitely not a box. And without any further ado, let's get into the video. I would have known nothing about Hack or Hack GU. Well, I watched the anime. The anime, top tier. Believe it or not, that is the grandfather of all isekai game anime. So put respect, go watch it. It's long, it meanders somewhere around the middle, but it's a pretty intriguing story. It's a pretty intriguing story. A lot of melodrama, but that was all the animes back in the late 90s. Either way, in Hack GU, you play as Haseo. He's a piece of shit. There is no two ways about this. I can't even be nice about it. He's absolutely a tartart. Like, he's stupid. He's an emo king, dumb bitch boy.
It's impossible! I can't take this anymore! What are you, an idiot? All of this! All of this! All of this! Is nothing more than a bunch of computer data! It's just a bunch of fake stuff made by slapping textures on top of polygons! How the hell do you find any part of this made-up world beautiful?
Haseo!
He's a piece of
There's
shit.
only one thing.
That being said, his story throughout the course of all three games, well, 3.5, I can't consider Last Recode an actual game, but hey, whatever. That's just, it's DLC at this point. Either way, it's a good story. Like, this guy becomes an actual man, learns how to hear people out, and learns how to actually deal with his emotions. In fact, the story of Hack GU, if you really want to consider it, it's about Haseo learning how to emote properly and how to process his own emotions properly. Man, talk about learning how to have some emotional intelligence. Woo! And empathy. Lord, Haseo has come a long way. And that's probably the biggest reason why I love this game. I don't think that today in gaming we have enough of that, or enough of little shit main characters that actually grow up to be, or at least grow through the course of their adventures to be an actual person. Shoot, look at Kratos. It took him a long time before he was cool with what he's done and he's willing to move forward with that. I made a video about that, by the way. It's my best video. Got 50k views. Go check it out. I might have said something that might resonate with you if you watch that video. That being said, let's get back into Hack. I like this game. I like the story way more than I like playing the game. And this ain't a game you can just coast through it. You will have to grind, you will have to farm, you will have to find better armors, trade with people, hand out flyers. For some goddamn reason, you have to hand out flyers. And kick a lot of chimps. Not chimpanzees, no, these little things. You have to kick them all the time. And the gameplay, well, is massively lackluster. Honestly, when it comes to gameplay, since I've been playing this game for a while now, right? I've been playing all three back to back. I'm already finished with the fourth one, all right? Like, I skipped the third one, played the fourth one, and went back to the third one. I'm sorry. I just wanted to see what was happening and reconnection. But now that I know, I will tell you it's worth it. But if you're getting this and you're not a fan of the franchise, don't do it, because this is for us. This is the OBA that we deserve. Back to the video. It doesn't change. at all. Like, it doesn't grow. Like, you just get more options to do what you want, but the enemies don't pose up any form of a threat, and every enemy in this game is a damage check. It's a stack check. If your numbers are bigger than theirs, you will win, even if you have to hit them like 80 times. As long as they're not hitting you for a large amount of your HP, you are fine. As long as you're doing a lot of damage, you don't have to deal with any boss and their annoying mechanics, or lack thereof mechanics. I will get more into that later down the sections when we talk about combat and enemies, but that's just like a rough draft of what's going on. Now, if you want to know what's going on in Hack, if you do not know, you want to recap, I beg you, I'm not going to show you the Last Recode. I think that's worth watching or experiencing from yourself, but I am going to link 3 videos from one creator, KNIJohn. He's known for doing Mega Man related content, mostly the Mega Man Battle Network series, but he did do the Hack GU trilogy, and he goes through it point by point, beat by beat, telling you how he feels about it, and it's a good recap. It's entertaining. He does his own spin, his own tick. I vouch for this guy. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know that I even exist. I'm just one of his subscribers that likes his videos, and I'm telling you, it's a good watch. You will enjoy these 3 videos. Obviously, watch them in order, but I'm not your dad. You can do whatever you want. Okay, after all that recap, let's get into the meat and potatoes. There is a lot that goes into Hack, right? There's a lot that goes into the world, and the biggest problem with the world is that it's so bare bones. But given that it was a PS2 game, right, mid PS2 cycle, I'm okay with that. I have no problems with how the game handled its progressions, its side content, and its story. I'm okay with it. I'm happy that we got it. I'm enjoying it. But let's talk about it. Right? Let's really talk about it. If this game was to be remade today, how would it look like? What they should do? And I have some suggestions. I've been thinking about it for a while. So let's get into it. I know I have to mention this. The reason I'm focused on the Hack GU series and not the Hack Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine is because we got this collection bundle and never got a collection bundle for the other 4 games. So that leads me to believe that Bandai Namco doesn't think there's an interest or a market there. So let's just focus on what they think will work, and Hack GU is probably the best shot this series has to coming back, or at least getting a remake. I will be doing you a massive disservice if I didn't mention that down below in the links, I also have the store information for Mutation. No, wait. It's Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine. Man, say that 10 times in a row. I swear to God, these names. But if you want to know why Kite is a huge deal and why you see his avatar here, links down below. They're all by Hard Mode activated. Great name. I love it. Give him a sub if you want to as well. Okay, now let's talk about it. In Hack GU, or in the game of Hack GU, right? The World R2, that's what the game is called, basically the world. It is a very complex game in a way that it simulates player interaction. And it's very important that every MMO lives and dies by how complex their player base is. Let me get into that. Fundamentally, you can break down every online player base into 3 different factions. We got the solo players, right? These players just care about going in, getting their levels, getting their drops, and leaving, right? They do their dailies and get out. Though there are a lot of hardcore players that fit this niche, most of these players are casual players, right? They just come in and leave, they log in and leave. Like, there's nothing wrong with that because they make the majority of any player base. Next, we got arena players. Mostly PvP players who are focused on grinding their rank up and just the match between people. Usually these players are in it for the bragging right, to see their name on the top 5 or the top 10 of any leaderboards when it comes to PvP. They care about that. Now, some games have guild wars, and those players are also found in there. And lastly, a overlap with the guild is, well, the social aspect, right? The community building of any games. Like, this is where Discord really found its niche audience. These social players were once standard players, you know, casual players who just log in, solo players, but they play long enough and they play so much, it's so hardcore enough that they naturally group up to make a guild. Every game has this. Every online game has this, right? They have it to some point, to some degree, but they do have this. Luckily, in Hack GU, the world has this and then some. Most games do not have a PK function. PK stands for player killers. That's what it's called in the game. Honestly, they're just dicks in real life, but whatever, we're gonna call them PKers. So let's break down what the world has. We have the standard MMO players, the casual players. This would be Ali, Gaspar, Philibus, Kun, if he's allowed to just chill and talk to the ladies. We have PKers and arena players, which are pretty much the same thing, except that ones just do it for the fun of it, other ones just do it for the rank of it or the bragging of it. And to be honest, it's the same coin, just flip upside down, right? They just care about PvP, right? If we have to break it down to its most simplest format, they are only there for combat against other players, which is why PKers and arena players are pretty much one and the same. And lastly, in Hack.jhu, we have the ultimate example of a guild, which would be Moontree. They're a community of players that have their own hierarchy, their rules, their code that they live by, and Sakaki fucks it up. Honestly, that's a lot, as it is already in the game. But I think we can add a little more to it, right? We can add something to spice up the player base by adding things that are natural to this game. We have event players, players who literally care about the new shiny stuff, the event, whatever. I believe Syllabus and Kun will be a part of this. Kun because womanizing, and Syllabus because he just likes to know everything about everything. We should add item hunters to this list as well, because believe it or not, in real life MMO, people spend money, and I mean money, on perfect items. Perfect accessory, armor, and especially perfect weapons. People sell them for money. And I'm not using CSGO as an actual example. I'm using like MapleStory, Vindictus, Grillica. Like I'm using those. Oh dude, don't even get me started on WoW. People make a living of selling items on WoW. And the last faction, other than people who care about the events and the people who like to sell items in the real world, would be hackers. Like we have them. Hackers are everywhere. They're cheaters, modded characters, farm bots, and gold generators. It happens in real life, it happens in real life MMOs, so let's just have it happen here in the game as well. Now, when it comes to hackers, I believe the GU members should basically be the ones that deal with them, since they are essentially categorized as the secret police of the CC Corporation. It just makes sense that the GU members have to deal with the hackers of the world. Alright, when it comes to towns, it's gotta be very simple. It's gotta be very simple with me. I want this to feel like Persona 5. Not in the sense that it's laid out like Persona 5, but in the sense that you see people populating the streets. Not just one or two guys running around, right? I do like seeing NPCs that I cannot interact with just walking around. Like sure, there's some people I can talk to, some people I cannot talk to, some people that need help, some people that don't need help, some people that are just assholes and whatnot. But I do need to feel like there is an actual proper living, breathing community around this game. This is the World R2, which means it's the greatest game in the net, in the webs. So I need to feel like that's the actual case, but just the sheer popularity or density of people located in the town. That being said, the town needs to be revamped, okay? First and foremost, the back alleys of every town, well, most towns, should be PK zones, like just period. Right? If you're in the back alley and you get jumped, you die. Okay, you die. Like just don't go there. Mind your business. That's no place for you. Cool. We're gonna still have our standard shops, but the shops themselves are gonna also basic equipment gear, bare bones. Like so, we get the dual source and it has I don't know plus 3% crit chance or some bullshit like that. Nothing great. What you're really going to want to do is go to the guild trade hub, which would just be like the marketplace of the area, like the guild market. Let's call it that because it makes sense. And that's where you can find the actual good items for your level around that area. Obviously, this town ain't going to be selling stuff that's like a level 100 if you're only level 25. Oh, by the way, I do love that every level branch has their own server, like it was in the original Hack.jhu. Obviously, level 1 through 50 goes here, Makanu. Then the next one goes to, like, this is my favorite area. I just think it looks nice. And the last one is to the cyberspace tech area in the sky, which you don't spend much time there, but hey, whatever. At least every server serves a purpose, even if it's level gated. Though in real RPGs, they let you go anywhere, and then you have to deal with the consequences of getting back, which I think is fair, but for the sake of simplicity, this is a MMO-like simulation console game. Let's make it so you're restricted You're just restricted from going there until you reach the level. Yo, I remember playing MapleStory. I was in like level 3. No, level 11 in Sleepywood back then before Big Bang. Oh my god, I couldn't get out. I had to ask for help. I'm like, I don't know how to get back. I believe early game, in order to get the player to naturally want to do side quests, they should be the ones that give out accessories. And accessories have like powerful effects, like 25% healing, experience boost, drop rate, stuff like that. That way, the town serves a purpose besides being a hub for market. It helps a hub for these side quests that can give you powerful early accessories. Then, like any MMO, once you get to the late game and you're farming for your items, that's where bosses can drop more and more accessories or better accessories. So you don't even have to go back to town to deal with it. You just have to farm the thing to drop what you want. On the topic of quests, there should be a quest shop, and this just generates basic, dumb, mindless quests for you. Like the dumbest dumb, like go kill this many things, go find this one rare drop, go fetch this one item, and it all leads to you leveling up the shop, which gives you better quests, the better drops, better experience, better money. Now, this is where you go to find rare monsters for the Book of 1,000, so we're going to tie it there as well. Don't forget the items and accessories as well. And more importantly, whenever there's like a major event in the storyline of the world, like that main quest line, not the GU main story, but the quest line for the world. I wish this game was named something different, because I keep saying the world, and all I want to do is where was it? Oh, whenever there's a major event in the storyline of the world itself, right? This is where all the people go to accept that quest. For the sake of brevity, let's say you finish chapter 1 of the world's quest, right? The quest shop is where you will accept that quest to be able to fight the boss of chapter 1. I said quest too many times in that last freaking 2 minutes, so we're just gonna switch up the word quest for the adventure shop. That way you can just go on adventures, have these stupid, it makes sense, alright? It makes sense. Okay, I believe besides the town service, we should also have different types of servers, right? Like, so just hear me out. We got the town service, which is the standard town, right? Or to be Makalu, Du, Laje, but I don't know how to say these names. I don't know how to say any names, but I'm gonna show you pictures. I'm gonna show you footage, the B-roll. Next, we're gonna have a trader service or a trade server. This is gonna be the marketplace, and if you've been to any online game where there's a living, breathing market when it comes to players trading with each other and setting price for stuff, this is legitly one of the best things you can do in an online game. I remember when I was playing Vindictus, I would just sit here and watch this and just watch 80 people come in and out, second by second, as I'm trying to like look through perfect items that I can never afford. Window shopping is real when it comes to online games. Trust me, you don't know until you're there going through every channel of that shop just to see what they got. Next, we got the arena server, Luminous Cloth. It's the best name location in this game to date. Don't at me, it's beautiful, I love it. That being said, I think this server should also be the casino server, so people put bets on fight, you can play cards, fishing, stuff like that, it's a casino, you can imagine what's in a casino. And since the arena is also here, this is where the black market will be located. This is where all the item hunters make their money. Next, we should have PK towns. There should be no level requirement. They should be called like the Outer Lands or the Outlands, something like that. Something Mad Max type deal. I believe this works really well because PKers need their own hub outside of the back streets of the world's towns. It just makes no sense that they don't have their own location, especially if CC Corp isn't going to do something about them and wants them to actually feel like they can do whatever they want. You better give them their own damn town. And lastly, the last town you can ever unlock will be the Net Slums. This is where the hackers will be. This is where will be the banned players who can get in the game because hackers know what they're doing. This will be where we have rogue programs, stuff like that. I believe here, of all location, is where you can pay for a large amount of money. You can pay some dude to fill in the Book of 1,000 line by line. Obviously, he's gonna make you work for it. Line by line if you miss anything. It's not cheap, but hey, if you don't want to line away the Book of 1,000, this is where you're gonna have to put your money in. I believe that's fair. So a quick recap is that the towns got revamped. Shops also vanillaware items and they look amazingly. right? The guild markets where you're gonna find most decent items at your level. Some of the back streets are just PK zones. NPCs are where the main storyline for the world is located. And the adventure pose, or the quest shop, is where you can do your basic kills, quests, collect quests, fetch quests, and on occasion, they do the important kill this boss to move to the next chapter quest. We also have 5 different types of towns. We got the town server, the standard town, the standard hub for the players to go to. The trading server, which is just a marketplace where you go and you do stuff. The arena/casino server, the PK server, or the PK town. And lastly, we have the net slums. Even if I just lay a massive info dump on you guys, it's actually very simple. Let's take one of the early situations that happens in Hack GU, Volume 1. When Gaspar is being picked on and no one's buying from the guild shop and he's all super sad about it, there's a few ways we can tackle that, given the freedom of, well, an MMO. How would you tackle it? Well, since the town is so big and we have PK zones, you, Haseo, and Kun, if you really want to, can go to the back streets and start killing all the PKs. Once you beat them, Gaspar is fine, everybody's fine. Now, you were told to go to Kestrel, but you're like, nah, I don't want to waste my time with that PK guild, right? That's trash. So you continue upon your business. Then, later on, you realize that they're still doing it. So you go to the Badlands, the PK town, and you dominate there as well. So people now know to respect you and your guild, but they're still going to mess with Gaspar. But this buys you a little more time. After a while, you say, fuck it, let me just go to Kestrel and talk to this bitch and get this shit over with. Right? That's one way that the town being this big and this nuanced, or this complicated, if you want to call it complicated, would lead to this natural escalation of events. Right? This progression. Right? You see Gaspar is being picked on and you're like, hey, not cool. You go slay everybody around that's been doing the slaying. Then you're like, oh cool, we're done with it. We're done with it. We're done with it. Turns out you're not really done with it. You go to their home base and you're like, hey, can we stop? We're done with it. I whoop your ass. We're done with it. Then that doesn't work, so you go to the head honcho and you're like, this is not gonna happen ever again. And you make the deal, and that's how the event of that little story session happens. And one thing I love about this whole scenario that just came up to the top of my head is that I love how tedious this whole ordeal is and how much Haseo just wants it to be over with. So he would just want to skip straight to the head, but Kun and Syllabus are like, no, we just take care of the people here. There's no need to like make it a huge deal. Until Kun is like, of course, we gotta go talk to Gabi. I hate him. And that just shows a massive amount of nuance between the characters of the world. Like there's history before Haseo. Next, we got the dungeons. And let's be real, these dungeons suck. But one thing I do have to give credit for, it is the area word system. Oh my god, keep it. It's amazing. I love it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Do not make a remake of this game and not have this area word game in it. Like, I swear to god, guys, this is mandatory. Keep it in the game. Let me explain it to you for those who don't know, right? Area word system essentially means that you pick 3 words and they generate a dungeon, a location. This is where you will go with your character and do whatever you need to do. Whether it be killing things, chilling, or, well, going to the beast statue. Which means more killing things, but still all the same. Now, certain words are important, and this is where most story events happen in the game, or at least more major events. Like a boss, or most importantly, wherever Tri-Edge left his symbol, man, Oban just throwing out tag symbols everywhere. If you have to break down the dungeon to its bare bone essentials and give an example for this, I would say the closest, most relevant examples, because games don't really do this, would be the Chalice Dungeon for Bloodborne. Now, you could say that this is just like any roguelike, but actually no. Do not get me wrong, they are very similar, but there are some key differences that need to be highlighted. When it comes to the area word system, you can choose the location, the level, and the enemy types or elements that you'll be fighting. That matters a lot. In a roguelike, you just start from square zero and move on from there on out. And that's just the structure of the game. This is different. It's different enough where you can choose exactly how you want. And this is why I said Bloodborne would be the closest thing to it that I've seen, that I remember. Man, I just love Bloodborne so much. I want it everywhere. Like, oh my god. Anyways, before we continue with the sections, I must preface this that you will see a lot of similarities between the first 4 hacks, at least in the way the mechanics and the game way progression works, and how we tackle the dungeons, areas, and moving on from there. I wanted to do that specifically for 2 reasons. One, a lot of people don't know about the first 4 hacks or are even interested in going back to it. It is a rough game. No save state, no autosave. Trust me, go into a dungeon, have the wrong loadout, that would be like hours of progress erased and back at the title screen. But there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and not a lot of people will ever get the chance to experience that or even know about it. So that's why I'm bringing some of those mechanics into here. And the second reason will become more apparent once I finish the section, so I can't just spoil what I'm gonna do, but it is worth it. Now on to the changes of the dungeons. Well, better music. I don't really need to describe why we need better music, we just need better music. Better dungeon layouts. We're going to talk more about that later when we talk about how you movement through the game, but just better dungeon layouts in general. Listen, I've been watching solo leveling, so I would like to have a second awakening dungeon or an awakening dungeon, something like that, you know, to just make it so it's awesome, it's cool, you get some really good loot, you get some really good levels, some perks, you know, some secret buffs, some abilities, stuff like that. It ain't hard to see why that would be necessary in a game like this. We should have outer dungeons where Ida is located and hackers are also located. So that gives you more reason to go after the hackers since they're somewhere they're really not supposed to be at. On the topic of Ida, for just now, we should have Ida affected monsters / zones that could end in an avatar fight. We also need different objectives besides going to the beast statue non-stop when it comes to dungeons. On the real, I hate this thing. You know how many times I had to come here, kick a box and leave? We all know, alright? Like, if you play this, you understand why I mean we need different objectives. So let me list a couple down for you. One objective could be where you go in and you rescue a group of party members. Now, these people could either be, you know, very severely under level for the location, so you have to rescue them from monsters, or they could be getting PK, so you gotta stop that from happening. Treasure hunt. I don't need to explain. Extermination, where you go specifically to hunt for a monster drop. A monster gauntlet, where you go strictly for the experience. You're killing and just slaying. You don't really get any drops, you just get money and weapon experience too. And lastly, the beast statue, where you get rare items, equipment, and a treasure map. Lastly, we have a unstable dungeon. This is where the hackers and Ida are making a mess of things. Once you leave it alone long enough without going there to deal with it, you can no longer use these area words, and you have to find a firewall key to gain access to its outer dungeon. Once there, you can go and, you know, clean up Ida and the hackers are chilling there. And that's everything when it comes to dungeon. Now, please know, every area in Hack, the original GU game, is a dungeon, whether you like it or not. Listen, just because this is on a field and I see the sun and the ocean, doesn't mean I'm locked in a room on this small island killing monsters. They're all serviceable as dungeons. That's how I see them. So that's how they're gonna get treated. Now I'm adding the open zones location because, again, this is supposed to be a field. It feels like a dungeon. So let's make an actual field. Let's make a field zone. The inspiration from this will be Xenoblade Chronicles and Elden Ring. Just because there's so much things you can do in those huge maps. They're massive, they have Roman bosses, that it just makes sense that the world will have a location or a giant field like this. In fact, I could have several, I don't know. Let's talk what will be in it. We will have raid boss, guild war, Roman monsters, legendary monsters hunt, treasure hunt. Obviously we get treasure maps from the beast statue and we can use them either in the dungeon or we can also use them in the open zone. This just makes sense. Resource collecting, like mining, collecting fruits, plants, vegetables, farming, stuff like that. We can't neglect the PKer for too long, so in the open zone you will see SOS requests where you just walk in, see a fight, stop the fight. That also being said, PKers can join your battle to fight you, even if you're just killing monsters. That's how much I see RuneScape here, okay? Like, that's how much I see it. It's just gonna happen. Minding your own business, killing a cow, and then you just get ganked. It is life, man, that is life. A day and night cycle, a casual PC area, you know, player characters. This is where you'll be safe from the PK. Nothing can happen. People are just here to chill, enjoy the flower, you know. Adelie's favorite spot. On random, monster nest spawn, and these will be a location where monsters are spewing out to the open zone, so you have to kill them, go inside the monster nest, and clear it. And elite monsters, and I mean by elite monsters like rare hunts. If you play Final Fantasy XII, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Lastly, in the open zone, every now and then there will be a PK war. This is the one time PKing someone can grant you some type of reward, whether it be items, equipment, money, or just class experience. More on this later when I talk about the PKers. Next, we talk about the arena. And the arena should be held much like it is in the main game, right? There ain't gonna be any people that are level like 90 going up against people who are level 25. That makes no sense in two forms. First, your equipment will be way better, so your effects will be way better. And secondly, you just have more skills. That's just not good. So in order to keep it fair, we gotta keep it how it is in the game, right? The first tournament is between levels 1 to 50. The second tournament is between 50 to 100. And the last tournament is between 100 to 150. Just like it was done there. It's perfect. I'm not gonna change it. While you're in the tournament, all the levels are equalized. So you'll be level 50, 100, 150, always. Nothing changes. And when you get out, you go back to whatever standard level you were. Think of Pokemon Stadium. Now, in the arena, your item builds and your loadout matters the most here. Your item effectiveness also matters. So if you have an actual build, let's say you have a poison build, which every attack inflicts poison, and then when you attack them again, it's a free crit because they're already poisoned. Boom, chocolate. That's great. That's what really gonna set you apart in the arena is what you have equipped and how you're fighting with it. This is where rare items matter a lot, and this is where the PKers are usually chilling because this is how they're gonna practice their builds against regular people, right? Like they come here, they try a build out. If it can compete in the arena, it can destroy a noob. As you can imagine, this is where the black market is. This is where you're gonna get all those weird, funky builds, all those great items, all those bullshit things that are going on. It's because of the item hunters and the black market. And lastly, we're gonna have an arena shop. I found it weird that we did not have an arena shop when we were playing the first GU games, which absolutely makes no sense to me, but now we're gonna have it because we need that. We need that. And of course, the more you climb, the longer your win streak is, the more money you get for the arena shop. Besides the balance changes in the arena, we're also going to introduce two more arenas. First is going to be the arena in the PK server, which is going to be known as the underground arena. This is where all the rules go out the window. You can use whatever item you want, you can use whatever skills you want, you can do whatever you want. In fact, Haseo can go in by himself, thinking he set up for a team battle. They just took his teammates away, and now he has to fight 5 people. But as we know, Haseo is used to the games. He's gonna go in, he's gonna kick ass, he's gonna be like, this is easy, this is child's play, and he's gonna get out like nothing ever happened. And lastly, the next slum is gonna have the Hackers Arena, or better said, the Avatar Arena. More on this later. Listen, I know you're curious. Me and my boy, we were talking about this. We were cooking. Trust me, we were cooking. It's worth the wait. I know I hate them. I know you hate them, but we gotta talk about the PKers because they're an important integral part of the world, even if they all suck. So, PKers as a group are a bunch of complicated people. Yeah, some of them are dicks, others are just in it for the cash. And what I mean by that is, somebody is paying this high level person real life cash to come after you. So, you know, a bunch of assholes paying other assholes to be assholes. Politicians, the US government, the UN, shit like that. Corporate greed and all that nonsense. Since all the PKers ever care about is combat between other players, some of them become arena players, and some of them just stick to killing other players. Now this is why rare items matter, and they're careful not to ever over level. Now I did mention the PK zone, the PK town called the Outlands. This hub will have a few facilities. First, the bounty / hit list. The more players Haseo rescue, the higher he's on that list, which means the more PKers are trying to hunt you. Assassins, they are in it for the money, no hard feelings. You can pay these people off. So let's say you're level 75, and this guy is level 110, and he shows up, he's like, hey, what's up? I'm here to kill you. It's just a job. If you want, you can pay this guy off before he even draws his weapon. That being said, you can only do this for so long before they have to complete the contract, and you can also pay them off with rare items as well. Think of all the assassins as bosses. They're really good at what they do for a reason. This is why they're getting paid for it, so they should be treated like a threat. Now, just because an assassin says not to kill you because you paid them off, doesn't mean the bounty is gone. You will still have people after you, and these will be bounty hunters. You cannot pay these people off. They just want to fight you and get the money on your head. Now, the important thing about bounty hunters is that it's just not Haseo, it's his friend. So if you hear Gaspar is chilling in the open zone and you know a bounty's on his head, go defend your boy. Alright, cool. So I mentioned the PK wars upstairs, so I'm just going to talk about it here more in the PK faction. The open zones on occasion have a giant war when it comes to PKs. This is where all the PK factions in the world go in and fight each other for points and fame. This is how Kestrel became the top PK guild in the world. It is a free-for-all and everybody's after each other. This is how the world, or better said CC Corps, shakes up the PK faction. That way they can always be fighting each other and the rest of the people. Smart players, basically all the casuals, stay away from the PK wars because there's a lot to lose. Your items, your gold, your equipment. The way I see this is that it's like Naraka Blade Point, right? It's basically a free-for-all. Now the important thing here to know is that once you kill someone, you have a set time limit before they respawn. If you do not loot them or pick a prize, you will get one of the two, whether it be weapon experience or gold. After that, there'll be respawn and you'll have to do it again. Now sure, easier said than done, but remember, you're in a war. There's going to be a lot of people coming at you at once. You might just want to get the kill count up and forget about items. But if you have the time, find something. Find something good, hopefully. In the world, this is how some PKers lose their edge because someone will take their weapon, even if it's not for their class, and sell it or give it to someone else. This is why most assassins and top PKers stay away from the PK war because the risk is too high, especially for losing an item you spent so much time trying to get and upgrade. Lastly, when it comes to the PK faction, I believe there should be at least 2 PKers that Haseo and his friends convinced to give up on their PK ways. Maybe they join Gunar's guild and just chill with them, who knows, but I believe there should be like a little quest line with some PKers that leads into this outcome. Feels more natural. Now you can't mention the PK without mentioning the PKK. These are known as player killer killers. Not player killers, player killer killers. It's a stupid name. But whatever. There should be a PKK guild that won't stop bugging Haseo to join them. There should be a leaderboard and there should be special items for PvP. Much like in the base game. So a quick recap here. What I'm trying to do is make the PK faction or the PK side of stuff more complex and integral to the world's ecosystem. And I believe we can achieve that by making it so the PKers also have to fight against themselves. CC Corps themselves understand the importance of these kinds of players, and that's why they have the PK wars. That way they can shake up the politics of the PK faction or the PK side of the world, and they can keep at it on each other. You know, like the US House of Congress. God damn it. PKers are allowed to be in the world, right? The dicks that they are, whatever. They're all pieces of shit. But hackers, now they're illegal. They're not allowed, right? Like, who wants hackers in your game? The way we interact with hackers in this game will be a completely new addition to the world. And hackers just mess around with the area word. And then they cause interference when it comes to day-to-day activities of the world at large, like, you know, the standard players, and when it comes to events. Now, you're gonna have to deal with hackers every now and then, but for the most part, they're just an offshoot to stop you from having fun or do your daily activities, your grind, whatever have you. For example, they can have a couple area words where they just don't work. Or even if they do work, no monsters are getting spawned. So you're just walking in an empty room. And sometimes people just get kicked to the main screen. So that's when you know that there's some hints of a hacker attacking you, so you should probably do something about that. When this happens, or when enough of it happens, CC Corp tells Yara that the GU group has to take care of it. Yara doesn't really feel like doing anything other than his investigation on Ida, so he would just pawn off all of his duties, all the actual responsibility that he has onto Haseo and his group. Now, Haseo doesn't really give a damn. All he's into is Oban, Ida, and Sheena. Oh, also Triad. But since Yada just punks him to do it, saying like, no information if the hackers keep doing it though. So that's how he gets them to do the work that he doesn't want to. This is also like 100% reasonably something Yada would do. Like, I can see Yada be a dick like this and Pi taking it overly seriously and being like, we have to stop them. Those pesky hackers are getting Yada's way. My bad. Master Yada's way. If too many hackers are left alone to just wreck the world long enough, CC Corp will restrict all of Yada's access to the information until the hackers are dealt with. And I see this working very well when it comes to halting the story progression, because you have no means to do what you need to, and making it so you have to deal with the hackers. Now, it doesn't have to happen all the time. It could happen just 3 times, like 1 per CD, where you just have to deal with these guys because they're just being a nuisance. When you clear the hackers, some of them have gold, some of them have experience, some of them have items. But since it is GU and they're basically the secret police of the world, you still have to deal with it. And lastly, I believe you can level up your data drain through hackers. Since they have illegal program and you're taking it away or deleting it, I don't know the hell data drain does. At this point, it reconfigures and we alter data. I don't know, but it would be really cool that if you data drain a bunch of hackers, your data drain for either your avatar or Haseo himself levels up. Okay, listen, I have 2 inspirations when it comes to the avatar battles. I really do. I have Son of the Ender because, whew, that is so good. Yo, that combat system has not been done enough with. Like, it's just so good. I love it. And I also have Armor Core in my mind. Now, do I think Armor Core would be a perfect fit for this? Absolutely. I mean, the way you play the game, you know, like, you stagger the enemy, like just look at the boss fights, right? They're basically almost 1-to-1 the way I see it, except that you can customize the robot. I don't think you should be able to customize Skage. I would love if you can customize Skage, but that's not me to say for that. That's not me for me to say. Now here's a thing, right, that like I think needs to be explained. The hackers will be making their pseudo avatar. This could be easily explained with the IDA server. Some hackers being trapped in the IDA server with everybody else do everything and everything to try to get out. Somehow, some way, they get to the white room, get a hold on some information, see Kite and Ida and GU members battling, doing all that stuff, and now hackers know it is possible to make pseudo avatars. They call them avatars, but they're just pseudo avatars. And that's how that concept of the hackers being able to do this nonsense be introduced. Now, that being said, I just want more avatar battles in the game. I want them to be more mech battles, because mech battles are cool. I watch Gundam, I watch Big O, I watch Evangelia, and screw, I watch Escafone. Like, come on guys, this is just awesome. And Pacific Rim is not that bad. I like Pacific Rim, it's a good movie. For me, I turn off my brain. Also, Real Steel. I'm sorry, I'll get back to Hack. I just really like mechs. Now, introducing more enemies into the avatar battles will go a long way in making sure that combat is not only varied, but also has to be deep in what the player can do. This is why I said either Son of the Ender would work, because it's just a fantastic array of movement skills. And after you defeat or data drain any of these pseudo avatars, or even just the IDA battles as well, you can always just level up your avatar scale, which would be HP, defense, energy consumption, boost, stuff like that. You can also unlock some skills, some moves, something like that, right? It really doesn't have to be super complicated, because on the Ender, no matter how beautiful it is, it's very much a simple mech arena fighter. And next, we can just complicate it by making it, well, Armor Core. It ain't that hard to believe that the pseudo avatars, or even IDA, you can just data drain them and gain a piece, or gain a part. That being said, I don't think that's good fit for Hack. I mean, even though Skade isn't really, or Skade, whatever you want to call him, isn't really a terror of death by the end of the 3rd game, like, I don't feel threatened by this at all. In fact, I don't feel threatened by the 2nd form. He just looks like a Chester to me, or a clown. Don't really see the resemblance of the terror of death anywhere on this, but the first one, I fear this. It just looks cool to me, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I personally don't think the Armor Core route when it comes to the avatar battles will be a good fit. And it feels like we're just gonna throw everything in the kitchen sink. Just because it's a good idea or good on paper doesn't mean it'll ever translate well when it comes to gameplay and the progression of the story. And let's be real, no matter how awesome this fight between Skade and Arlie is, we still want Skade to be Skade. Even though I don't think Hack wants Skade to be Skade. Anyways, let's talk about the Hackers Arena, or the Avatar Arena. Once you get to the next step, right? The last frontier of the world, would have the most epic fights, or at least the most epic arena. The Avatar Arena, or the Hackers Arena. I like calling it the Hackers Arena, it just sounds really cool, even though they're not hacking. Just imagine the toughest fights and mech battles ever, and it's in the Hackers Arena. Now, I think all the pseudo avatars should be mech based, so you got like an actual difference between the mystical weird technology of the actual avatar, the 8 faces of Morgana. We got the pseudo avatar, and we got Ida being an alien. So each one faction has their own legit visual style. That being said, it would be nice if you can fight the other avatars at their max potential. That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I think that'd be great. Actually, give all these 3 motherfuckers an avatar battle. That'd be nice. Listen, I know Kite is the man. Like, he is the one. But, just saying, can these 2 people get some love? You know, can like Oregon and the Wind Boy get some love? And that's what I see when it comes to the Hackers Arena. Now, I can rant a lot more about the Avatar battles and what I would like to see and how I would like to be handled. The Avatar fights are like a small part of the narrative, small part of the gameplay experience of Hack. And though I want to inflate it more than it should be, and I think it should be way more, we can't really change the game just for that. Like, we can't really change the whole aspect of the game just because I like it. Alright, so I gotta keep it confined, at least this much. Oh yeah, just one more thing, just like humor me. All the fights in the Avatar Arena will have Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 3, similar to Mega Man NT battles. Like, if you know, you know. Like I hate base. Oh, I hate quick, man. Oh, that motherfucker. Alright, before we even keep going with the guild, the combat, I need to address everything I just said. And yes, it was a lot. But, like in any other MMO, when you just start playing it, there is so much you could do, so much that you should be doing, but you don't need to do them all. In fact, you don't need to do everything. Let's talk about how the game will be formatted. You have the main GU quest line, right? And you also have the world quest. Plus you have character quests and side quests. By character quests, I mean your party, your friends. When you finish your day/chapter is when you achieve everything you want to do when it comes to the main quest line. Why? When it comes to your objective, your Shino, your triads, whatever it would be. So essentially, you can do however you want. And I believe that's the best way moving forward when tackling a game like this. If you want to speedrun the story, go for it. If you want to fish for hours, go for it. If you want to go treasure hunting to make sure everybody is up to par with the best equipment they can have possibly, sure, go for it. Or if you want to get paid, go do stocks. Just like the original, the only way to move time forward is to complete your main objectives. This is giving the player the freedom to do whatever they want, however they want, which is why you can do so much stuff in this supposedly remake game and still have time to do the storyline. Think of it like Elden Ring. Take your time with it. Do what you want. Be curious. Venture forth. Get lost in it. And then if you want, do the storyline. That being said, you can miss out on a lot if you don't stop to do the side content. Like any MMO, if you don't do the events, you will just miss a lot. If you want to power grind to the main boss, go for it, but I would suggest you try to do some of these events. Personally, I believe there should be 4 main events, 1 for every season of the year. That way it feels like an actual living breathing MMO, because every MMO does that. What they would be, I don't know. I'm not gonna put much thought into that. But the concept of events and limited time items should be there. It is also important to know, in order for this to work, your equipment needs to change. Like, I'm talking boots, chest, arm, heads, and maybe 2 to 4 accessories. And of course, your weapon. This will make PK Wars worth it, and it will explain why many item hunters are so important. Leveling up should be slowed down a bit, but it shouldn't change too much. I believe that the player's strength should come from the equipment, not just their levels. So you can level up all you want, but sooner or later you're going to be missing out on a lot of damage because you just have weak items. So stop grinding levels, get your money up, and buy better shit. Or hit up the black market, or gather materials and make better shit. Making the items important will give the reason for the players to actually interact with some of those other systems we talked about. Let's talk about the guild, at least Gunnar. First and foremost, let's talk about the Book of 1000. This is a massive part of the game. I know it ain't much in the OG, but it is still a massive part of the game. a lot, and I mean a lot of story moments happen in the guilds or the at home. The at home was always a stupid name. I felt like it was always a dumb name, but you know what I mean. First and foremost, I need to explain this. Can more people join the guild? Like, we need a lot more people to join the game. And how do 3 people, mostly a sale, level up a guild? It is beyond me. If you ever play any MMO, you know how impossible that is. Here's a small list of people that should join the guild. Kun, Ali, Arcade, Matu, Pyros, Sakubo, or just Bo, Endress, Tabby, and Organ. Listen, I like him. I think he's cool. He should join the guild. I just put him in the game, okay? Like, maybe he can be a hacker. Who knows? He doesn't look like he has a regular weapon from the world, but I like him. Anyways, the Book of 1,000 will be done naturally as you play the game. But this time, the Book of 1,000 will be slowly filled in by your guild members. Gaspar, Arely, Syllabus, and Kun go on a venture and get shit done on their own, if their relationship is good enough with Haseo at some point again. I believe the guild system in general just needs to be expanded more. So the way I see it is that you'll be able to send your guild members into either missions or expeditions, whatever you want to call them. Like, let's take Gaspar, since he's the most active in the guild. He's really good with gathering and shopkeep, which means if you assign him to those tasks, he will go gather materials for you out in the open zones, or he will just run the guild shop. A few more samples. Allery can be really good at making potions and farming. Syllabus can be good at mining materials, orbs, or doing event quests. And Cool can be good at gathering, fishing, racing, and SOS quests. Like, you know, because he's a GU player and he's actually pretty good at the game, you know, like, because he's the man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a bias to Ichigo, okay? I have that bias. Shut up. This will do a few things. When they're online and not at your party, they're still helping you in some way. Now, I'm not sure if this part needs to be added in the game, but you can also add random NPCs to your party. You can just have it on a tab and just assign them to do stuff. Think of it like Metal Gear 5, the Phantom Pain system, where you just have random operators work for you. Personally, I think you have more than enough party members in this game to not have that system, or not copy MGS5, but you don't have nearly enough guild members. So, combat. This needs a complete 100% ground up, in fact from the basement up, rework. Cause honestly, this combat ain't it. It's just not gonna cut it. Especially if it's a remake. Like, oh my god. Doing this Book of 1,000 with this combat. So, let's just say, like, all the betters, right? Like, what does need to be better? Combat needs to be better, enemies need to be better. I need to feel like I'm in danger. Like, that's just period. I need to feel a threat from the things I'm killing. Now, that's not always the case in online games. Like, I play a lot of MMOs, right? Vindictus. There's a list. Here's a short list. And that ain't all of them, right? So, I play them. And sure, you be mopping the floor with every enemy type, every enemy variation, every boss, except, you know, the raid boss, because, you know, they require a raid. But, since this is still a console game emulating a MMO, the enemies need to feel like they put some form of a threat on the player. That way you take these things as a threat that they are. Because honestly, button smashing X, like, non-stop, isn't the way to go. That being said, since I want you to be a strong character, I think we need damage indicators and stuff like that, right? Like, hey, get away from this, you can't block it. Or hey, run away from here because the enemies are way too strong. Stuff like that, alright? So let's talk about it. Like any real MMO, when you die, there should be 1 or 2 debuffs placed on you. You'll either lose experience, fair. Personally, I hate this. Like, how dare you set me back? Not only did you kill me, but you set me back. Like, how dare you? But since it's been a thing in time and moment in most MMOs I play, fine, fair, it is there. Or you have a debuff that prevents you from gaining experience for like the next 10 minutes. Also, I hate this, but better than losing experience, I guess. Like, I really don't know. Pick your pick. I don't really know where you're gonna land on. Both to me suck, but since you die, you have to be punished about it. Enemies need to have 2 type of meters. One is a stun meter, and the other one is a stagger meter. The stun meter is the Regenki meter. You don't see it, but it always fills up whenever you're hitting someone continuously long enough. We know how this works. Also, Rengenki, I love it. The stagger meter will be at like any other stagger meter in any MMO you be playing or any RPG you be playing. Think of Final Fantasy 13, 7 Remake, and or Grand Blue. Awakenings need to go. I hate them. They're just a screen nuke. No matter what you do, they're just a screen nuke. Or you just spam magic, or you're all just super fast and do damage. It sucks. So I'm thinking dependent on your relationship with certain characters, their affinity with each other, you either get a dual team attack, like you and Arcade, or a triple team attack, which would be you, Arcade, and Entrance. That's just like a funny thing that would happen, And this makes sense in the context of the world. And yes, Hacklink did something like this, but one, half the users didn't know this game existed, never made it to the US, and two, the specials there are still screen nukes. I want it to be a little more utility based. That way there's a strategy behind picking your party members. Because not everybody in your group will be best friends with each other. Hear me out. This is what I mean by make combat matter. Make it hard. I can get used to about pretty much the bullshit of any game, right? And I want to enter the zone, the flow state while I'm playing this game, this remake. Let me see if I can actually describe what I'm trying to talk about right here, right? It's just more abstract, but you will see what I'm talking about. I can easily murk about 60 to 70% of the monsters in Elden Ring. But some of those encounters, some of those fights, some of those forts, they're hard. I'll admit it, they're hard. And some of those boss fights, let's not even talk about that. The same goes to Blasphemous 2, DMC, Hades, Monster Hunter, God of War, Infinity Blade. Trust me, when you reach your flow state in Infinity Blade, you will be in the zone. Like nothing can touch you. Doom and Hyper Light Drifter. Once you hit like that zone of like how to play the game, everything clicks, you are taking care of your cooldowns, your dashes, your avoiding damage, additional damage. That's what I'm talking about. All those games have a steady increase in difficulty, right? Like the curve naturally goes up into a hill. But as the player learns to overcome those challenges and progress through the game, they get better and better. And I just want that for Hack. I think Hack can handle that if built right. Combat in all the 4 games does not change you much at all. Even when you get your final 5th form, you don't change much. I'm gonna call that form Messiah because you're basically a god at that point. And all enemies, including the boss fights, are just stat checks. If your numbers aren't anywhere close or big enough, you're not winning that fight. So in order to make combat fun, you need to give me something decent to fight. So we need enemies. We need a massive list of enemies. We need basic trash mobs. We need basic goblins. We need basic elites. We need multi-faces boss that actually challenge the players in the mechanics. Can you dodge? Cool. Can you parry? Cool. Can you make your party members draw aggro from me? Cool. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like a little more deepened in the combat experience so it feels like you're actually doing something or fighting something. I'm not asking for Lingering Will or your Zora, but I need something more than whatever this trash is. On a side note, in order to have some bosses be like hard for the player, they should make it so Ida just takes over some boss enemy and just makes that even more of a problem to deal with. That way you can at least shake up the basic moveset of some enemies, or at least some basic bosses you'll fight through the game. But I'm talking a lot, and we never even talked about what kind of game should it be. Or better question, what kind of third-person action game or third-person RPG should this be? Should we be able to have a dodge or a jump? Personally, I say yes. Should we have an open zone, something akin to the islands of Xenogears Chronicles? Personally, I say yes. Should we keep this ugly blue wall birdcage thin fight arena? I say no. But maybe we should do dungeons like they do in the challenge dungeons in Bloodborne. Personally, I think that would be cool. But if I'm to be 100% honest, given the gameplay that I see Hack.jhu could be, it should land somewhere between the East Combat and Grand Blue Relink combat system. I think it should be somewhere around here. This is the visual aid I'm showing you, right? Somewhere around there, right? Like let's say 40% East and 60% Grand Blue. Somewhere around that. As you can see, both games actually fit the style of combat that, Hack has. But I think mixing a little here and there from both of them will make a perfect game. Or at least a more innovative game. As you can see, link attacks are just team-wide Rangekis, and I know with the footage I'm showing you and the things that I've said, your cogs and your minds are spinning, like you can understand where I'm coming from. I love when that happens. So if Grand Blue Fantasy and East Combat is the inspiration from a console game, what's the inspiration for an MMO? Because I play a lot of them, like I did. Now, I didn't play all of them, and if you guys have something better, please let me know. But what I see here is the combat from Soul Worker works very well. It's flashy, it's anime, it's all hell. This is the gameplay from the Scythe user in that game, Lily. I think it fits Haseo 1-to-1. Obviously make it more edgy because Haseo, but still, like, this would really work with a hack Code of Pink, or a hack GU Code of Pink, better say. Now, if I had to sum it all up and put a nice bow on top of it, I just want more skill expression. If I see Haseo do all this awesome shit in these cutscenes, I want to do that. I personally want to be able to at least emulate that in my combat. I'm not going to say I want to do this perfectly 100%, but look at this. It looks cool. It looks great. And the game, the way it is, the way it was made, ain't really gonna cut it. Yes, it's a PS2 game. That's why I'm never gonna rag on it. Like, I still think it's a great RPG, one of the best, the better story RPG in the PS2 era. But I'm not gonna like rag on it. It's a product of its time, 100%. But if we're gonna remake it, let me be cool. Let me at least feel like I'm cool. Okay, before we get into combat, or like Haseo's combat, we need to talk about jobs. Every MMO has them. They do. And any MMO worth its salt will have a nice selection of them. At least the ones that have been out for like a couple years. I believe the world needs them as well. We're going to talk about the party members first, because Haseo being the adept rogue is pretty much OP. No, seriously, really. He's OP throughout the game, and then he becomes the Messiah. Like, he's a god. Alright, so I'm gonna give you samples, and I'm gonna tell you exactly why I feel this way. Ain't no way Syllabus and Endress should be the same job, given their personalities, given their objective of why they play the world. Same goes for Pi and Tabby, Shino and Adley. Let's take two very similar characters that fill a very precise niche role and see how we can differ between them. We're talking about Adley and Shino. For the sake of simplicity, we're just gonna make it so they get their jobs level 1, 50, and 100. So they both start as a cleric at level 1. At level 50, Shino becomes a lunar mage, while Adley becomes an holy bishop. At level 100, Shino becomes an ether sage, and Adley becomes a saintess. As you can both see, they can still heal. While Shino is more focused on holy damage, Adley is focused on buff, debuffs, and revives. Syllabus a steel paladin, and Endress a mercury blade dancer. Stuff that fits the character and what they do. But here's the kicker. Unlike adept rogues, they can switch their jobs. Obviously, this will be a huge deal. So let's take Arcade for a second. I like her. I like Arcade, right? I think she's best girl. I mean, I think, Pi is woman, is best woman, but Arcade is best girl. Twin Blaze, we need a better name for this, by the way. It just can't be Twin Blaze. Like, come on. Anyways, Twin Blaze have about 4 paths of progression: Infinity Blade, Silent Slayer, Warp Tracker, and Chain Azura. These are all placeholder names. I just thought they sounded cool, so that's why they're here. Arcade is a Silent Slayer because that's what the top players in the arena use when it comes to Twin Blades. Though, after the course of the game, Haseo tells her that her playstyle and her jobs are at odds. He recommends that she should be more of a Infinity Swordsman or Infinity Sword, and she finds it a lot easier to compete in the arena. Not only that, it's more fun for her, and you can even make this its own side quest type deal event in the game. But Haseo, being an object role, literally has to make it work. He is forced to make it work because he can't change his jobs since he has 3 of them that he can switch off between them. And that's the wonder of a adept rogue, is that you have the flexibility in combat, but you don't have the flexibility outside of combat to do with your character what you want. I also want to make it that like in the lore of the world, every account has one character and only about 50 adept rolls are made per month. It's like literally a lucky draw system. Another downside of being an adept rogue is the massive cost investment you need to put in. You need so much for one perfect weapon, but now you need 3 of them. The same thing goes to armors and accessory. And learning how to play all these classes, because that's a lot of grinding for 3 different jobs. And our Dark Prince ends up having 5. If he wasn't in GU, this man would be banned. So let's break down Haseo's job, right? Twin Blaze goes into Chain Azura. It is your standard Berserk class with dual swords, drains HP and has great mobility and some lifesteal. Edge Pusher, which is the giant sword, the great sword, goes into Rhythm Breaker. It's all about getting clean hits and throwing your enemies off balance. And lastly, the Flick Reaper goes into Twilight Ghostwalker for AoE magic damage, debuffs, and drain skills. Let's talk about the Chain Azura first. Like I said, it's your standard Berserk class with dual swords, a high attack speed, high crit chance, low damage, but great mobility. Think of Lancelot and Eudora from Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and think of a chain blade motif. The more you attack, the more you fill a meter. The more the meter goes up, the faster your attack speed goes. Once the meter fills, you enter a rage state, which gives you a set amount of lifesteal. But it also drains your life slowly, so you want to balance having that up while having it off. Okay, let's be real. The Great Sword sucked. We all know this weapon was trash. If it wasn't for its decent damage, no one would use it. So it has to gain so much more for it to be a better or even a viable option in this game. So this is why I really went a little more deeper than I should have when it came to the Great Sword. Let's get into it. The Rhythm Breaker. It has 2 stands, Sacred Templar and Rune Slayer. The Sacred Templar is all about parrying incoming attacks, defending yourself, cashing it out for a huge counterattack. When you defend yourself or parry enough attacks, you gain certain buffs. You get more defense, more resist, an overshield, and even hyper armor. And after a while, your ultimate skill will mean you're just immune to all damage for a while. The Rune Slayer is all about attacking the enemy to interrupt their incoming attack, which gives you damage buffs, which could be crit chance, crit damage, base attack, percent damage, true damage, and then once you go in for a huge counter attack, you can cleanse all of that for massive damage. One is obviously more harder than the other one. Interrupting attacks is different from parrying attacks, because at least you'll be in defense mode. But to make it fair and easier for the player, when you are using the Great Sword, all the enemies flash a certain color to give you the indicator of when you should parry or interrupt their attacks. And sure, you can still do the basic sword combo because it is a great sword, so it's gonna be decent damage, but learning how to deal with incoming damage or learning your enemies' movements and timing will be way more rewarding and engaging. Lastly, we have the Twilight Ghostwalker. That's a cool name. Obviously, it's gonna be your true Death Sight class, Death Sight Gundam. I love that. Favorite Gundam. Oh, and have you guys seen Zero Gravity Judge Gundam? Oh my. Oh, wait. What am I talking? Focus on the video. I'm sorry, guys. This box needs to know better. The Twilight Ghostwalker is a class that inflicts debuffs depending on what combos you do. So, X and Y, X pause, triangle, whatever. You know what you're saying. You can do Armor Break, Sword Break, Magic Break, Slow, Berserk, Fear, Poison, Bleed, etc. Once you have enough debuffs or a few debuffs on an enemy, you can cleanse them doing percent health damage per debuff. So with the Scythe, you have essentially 2 ways to play. Layer a bunch of debuffs on an enemy and slowly chip them away and wreck them like that. Or you can cash that all out for damage, which I'm assuming most of you will once you know the threshold has been met. As you can see, each one of those classes pretty much are their own thing. They can play pretty much their own way and be really strong if itemized correctly and played correctly. But we are an adept rogue, Imagine how good it will be when you can play off every other weapon's strength to make up for the other weapon's weakness. A quick example. Using the increased attack buffs from the dual swords can help you land more combos with the scythe, which means you have more debuffs. So when you switch to the great sword, you can even do more damage, especially since the enemy is slow, and it'll be easier to parry and interrupt, giving you a chance to dish out massive damage, build that stun meter, and even the stagger meter, giving you even more damage. That's fantastic. That's an actual playstyle and a looping system of combat that you can keep doing that will be fun. Now, this is why adept roles are great. It's all about being on your own. It is hard given all the time one needs to put into their character and their playstyle to make it work, especially when it comes to all the items and patience you need to gather the resources you need for your character. This is why among the adept rogues, Haseo is among the elite, because very few adept rogues can do all that. Most of them focus on either one or two aspects of their class. But seeing that Haseo pre-Data Drain was literally a legit problem to standard players of the world, non-cheaters, it's pretty damn impressive what he was able to accomplish. Sure, he had no life, he was 100% chasing a ghost in a machine or a ghost in a shell, but still, he's earned his edgy stripes and medal, which gives him all the more reason to have a massive chip on his shoulder and why he's the terror of death and stuff like that. And then he got guns. I'm not gonna call him a cheater because whatever, but Jesus. I don't want to change the X form a lot because it's pretty damn good, and I feel like there's not a lot that the game does with it besides just making it the best option ever, especially with double Rengeki or double skill triggers, whatever you want to call them. Honestly, all this class really needs is a couple more specials, give it like 5 more, and maybe 2 close quarter combos that pushes the enemies away or pushes Haseo away back to optimal shooting range. There's not much you need with this class. Given how powerful it is, I don't really want to change it. It's so strong. Maybe give it an over-the-shoulder third-person mode where you can snipe and get massive stagger damage. But other than that, this class is so strong that changing it for even more would just abuse the game more than it already is. And finally, the 5th form. It's pretty cool, but you don't need it. You don't need nothing in the game can give you a decent challenge when you get it in the original game. By the way, it's cool, it's nice, it's fun to play with. Make it so you either go into this form every now and then, or make it so you have to sacrifice your party members, much like Final Form in Kingdom Hearts 2, so you can use this. Because you don't need anybody when you're in this form. You're so much of a god already with your other 4 forms. Now this is just more sugar on top of a cake. Alright, before we go into the end of the video, please comment below whatever you think you want to change, whatever you feel about it. Give me your opinions, give me how you feel about it. I really want to know. This took a long time to make, so any comment will be read. All the comments will be read, by the way, so it's whatever. Anyways, a few more things before we end the video. First and foremost, a cash shop. We need it just to buy outfits and mounts, for the bike. Also, Haseo is too Hot Topic emo, so the players should be allowed to dress them up however they feel like it. He can be a lovely Barbie princess if you want to. I don't care. Also, so this is a cash app, you can buy gifts for your other party members to boost their affinity towards you. Lastly, when it comes to the cash shop, DLC can be sold here because every game needs DLC nowadays, so whatever, fine. I did mention mini games and seasonal events, and I think they should be tied, both of them. So there should be 4 of them based on the 4 seasons. So there'll be chimp racing in the summer, your pseudo Mario Kart wannabe game. Then we have chimp bike collection, literally what the game already has in it. Then we have chimp calamari, they can get away with it. It is Bandai Namco, they can do it. This will be your spring event. And lastly, in the fall, we have match 3 chimps, literally the fall 3 chimps that come down the. You get it, it's not that hard of a thing to imagine. But this isn't any other MMO. If we're gonna make the world an MMO, we're gonna have to have your basic casino, your fishing, your cars, your slot, and your snowboarding. Why? Because I like snowboarding, shut up. And I may have mentioned cars, but I meant blackjack and poker. But lastly, CVS, Crimson Burson, they needs to be revamped from the ground up. Like, I personally love this game, but I know many did not. I know many people that hated this game. So please, if you like it, let me know in the comments. Don't make me feel alone. If you want to remake this game, I have an idea. Land somewhere between Duel Link and Hearthstone, and you got yourself a winner. I know that for a fact. And that's it. That's everything I want to talk about a remake of Hack, right? Like, let's make one. So we did. We talked about all the systems. We talked about all the aspects. We didn't talk about the story because the story is pretty much good, and I want to keep it one-to-one as much as possible, but there will be changes, of course, given the gameplay liberties that we have now. We have more room to actually expand the world itself, given the side characters, given the open zone, given the PK faction, even given the hackers themselves. Like, we added so much to the game that now it feels like a living, breathing organism of a game while you're doing your whole Hack GU main storyline. And sure, like I said before, I would love to see Hack Infection, Mutation, Outbreak, and Quarantine come back in some way or fashion, but I don't think Bandai has any faith in those 4 games, so let's focus on the one that they actually might do it on, which will be Hack GU. Personally, I think they got a winner. In fact, if this works, why not remake those 4 games? Why not go back through that? Oh, by the way, a quick side tangent. I want them to be like one last area, one last world. It could be called Ancient Civilization, some bullshit like that. But this is where you, Haseo, by yourself, will go as the Messiah 5th form God himself and have to fight the old faces of Morgana, the old 8 faces. That would be sick. Right? And every fight starts off as you, as your actual character, and then you transition into your avatar fight to kill them and to find, Morgana herself or stuff like that. That would be cool. I'm just, this is fan mode right now. I'm just fanning out right now. But anyways, this has been everything. This has been definitely not a box. Let me know what you think about the things we talked about. Give me your comments. Give me your opinion. Give me a whole damn page of conversational piece. Like, I will read an essay on this if it's your comment. Whatever you want. Thank you for watching this far. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Dislike it, give me a thumbs down. Comment down below. Give me a sub if you think I've earned it. But whatever you do, make sure you have a good day on purpose. And I'll catch you on the next one.